Cold bites harder when hope is thin. And in the frozen front lines of World War II, hope was sometimes the only thing warmer than the air. Soldiers weren't camping for fun. They were surviving. Yet out there, under brutal winter skies, they discovered a trick so simple, so genius, it could beat the cold better than the thickest sleeping bag. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't pretty. But it worked. And that's why it spread across armies like wildfire in a snowstorm. The real enemy was not always the other side. Freezing weather was ruthless during World War II. The Eastern Front, the mountains of Europe, Arctic convoys, nights where temperatures plunged well below zero, frostbite, numb fingers, soldiers getting trapped in winter that didn't care which uniform they wore. A sleeping bag sounds like a solution, but many troops didn't have one. Supplies were thin, fabric soaked, gear froze stiff. Even when bags were available, lying directly on snow or frozen ground sucked the heat from the body like a vacuum. You can wrap yourself in wool all day, but if the ground keeps stealing warmth, you lose. So the soldiers adapted, and here's the trick. The insulation secret that changed everything. The secret wasn't just about wrapping up tighter. It was about lifting the body away from the cold ground and trapping warm air around it. Natural insulation, simple materials, smarter layering. Troops started building thick, insulating beds made from whatever dry plant matter they could scavenge. Straw, grass, dry leaves, pine needles, even spare clothing. Anything that created space. Anything that trapped air. Not one thin layer, but a serious stack. 10, 15, 20 centimetres or more, a real mattress, a barrier. Suddenly the earth couldn't steal the heat so fast. The body warmed the trapped air instead of freezing dirt. The cold ground was, well, neutralized. The game had changed. This wasn't just theory, you know. It was survival engineering. Why did this beat the sleeping bag? Well, sleeping bags are only as good as the insulation beneath them. If you compress that insulation, you lose heat. Soldiers learned fast that the real protection honestly came from below. Add a coat or blanket on top and sure, you're cosy. But stack insulation under you and, well, the warmth multiplies. Air pockets are the hero here. They hold heat like tiny fireplaces. The thicker the layer, the warmer the night. So, you know, a soldier lying on a bed of straw with a thin blanket could sometimes outsleep a soldier with a thick bag on bare frozen ground. Sounds wild, right? But physics doesn't lie. Warm body, air pockets, minimal compression, maximum retention. That's how you win a winter night. Layering like a masterclass, that was key. Clothing mattered too, you know. Troops learned to wear loose layered garments, not tight. Tight traps moisture, but loose traps warmth. Wool became gold out there. Not fashionable, just functional, really. Wool keeps insulation even when it's damp. Cotton? Not so much. And the head? Covered. Always. You lose serious heat there, let me tell you. Old soldiers joked that a hat was half a blanket. they weren't wrong. But the mindset behind it all was the real upgrade. Think insulation first, always. Heated stones and other bold moves. In some areas, soldiers also used warmed stones or bricks wrapped safely in cloth to radiate heat, sort of like primitive hot water bottles. Not scorched, not burning, just warm, set near the body, a gentle heat source for hours. Again, this was war, not a camping trip. Conditions were harsh and unpredictable. These days, trying anything with heat or fire, well, it really does require serious caution and adult supervision. But back then, necessity pushed innovation. They did whatever they could with what they had. And that's the harsh truth of winter survival in conflict. Trenchcraft and snow shelters. You know, snow isn't always the enemy. Packed snow can actually insulate better than some fabrics. Soldiers would carve sunken shelters and windbreaks right into the drifts. Not luxury, not by a long shot, just less exposure, really. Combine that with the ground insulation trick and, well, you had something close to a winter fortress. Quiet, hidden, warmer. Not paradise, no, but at least it was a chance to wake up with all your fingers. The mental game. Cold doesn't just drain your body, you know. It drains your will, too. These improvised systems didn't only protect flesh and bone, they protected morale. When you feel warmer, you think clearer, you move better, you function. And in World War II, functioning meant living. That's why this trick spread. It wasn't glamorous, and it sure wasn't some secret tech. It was wisdom built from frost, pain, and endurance. Why this still matters today? We don't share this to turn survival into a stunt. In real life, cold is dangerous. Hypothermia is real. And, well, copying wartime improvisation without training or safe conditions is risky. But the principle still teaches us something powerful. Warmth isn't just about what's over you. It's about what's under you. It's about trapping air, reducing conduction, protecting your core, respecting the science of heat loss. Simple, smart, effective. That's the beauty of old world wisdom. A final thought for the before modern times family. History isn't just stories. It's knowledge paid for in hardship. And when we dig into these forgotten techniques, we see the genius of human resilience. Regular people, terrible conditions, smarter thinking. That's the heartbeat of this channel. So, next time you hear about fancy outdoor gear, remember the soldiers of World War II stacking straw and pine and scraps into survival beds. No branding. No glossy catalogue, just grit and innovation. And yes, sometimes warmer than a sleeping bag. If you learned something new today, show some love. Hit subscribe, drop a comment. Share this video so more people can rediscover the lost wisdom of the before modern times. Let's keep this community growing, learning, and staying curious.